I'm gonna be so honest, I don't have a lot to say today. And I'm also kind of losing my voice because I've been a little bit sick this week, so I'm not gonna talk long, but it's tradition for me on this channel to give a wrap up or an update at the end of each month about how things are going with my progress towards my reading and writing goals, so I felt like I was overdue for a video just checking in to see how things are going. So I'm just gonna go through a few things really briefly, and that'll be that, because I haven't done much this month. That's pretty much the first point, is that I'm kind of in recovery mode still and just now getting back into my work. Also, complete side tangent, I did my whole outfit today based on my earrings, and you can't even see them, so I have to show you. Ignore my cakey makeup. They're from Freerin, which I just washed with my husband. It's one of his faves, and I loved it. I loved it so, so much. So yeah, I had to represent my girl, because she's my hero. And the earrings are just, they're cute, so I had to wear them. Anyway, besides the point, like I said, yeah, my main thing has been resting. I think I talked about this quite a bit already, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but I was so worn out from last year, even though last year was incredible and I felt like I accomplished so much. Because I felt like I accomplished so much, I was really, really tired by the end of it, and so I haven't really been pushing myself to get work done this month. I've kind of just been letting myself breathe and take a rest, because even though I wasn't doing a ton of writing, I was doing a ton of reading in December, but I wasn't doing a ton of writing. December was still insane because it's the holiday season, and so there was something going on almost every single day, and I was still working, and it was just, there was so much going on, so I just felt like I needed to give my body and my brain time to recover, which is what I've been kind of dedicating this month to. So I haven't done a lot of writing, I haven't done a lot of reading, but I have done a little bit. I am currently less than 100 pages away from finishing Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. Whether or not I do a review video for that, I haven't decided yet. I'm waiting to give my thoughts until I finish the whole thing, but that's the only thing I've really been reading this month, and it's like 1,300 pages, so most of my time and attention has been on that. And then for writing, I just got back into writing my draft maybe a week ago. I really took a long rest, but it was good because now I feel a lot more excited to get into it. I've been more motivated to get back to the writing, and I've really enjoyed it when I sit down to do it, but that's a separate point that I'll talk about in a minute. So all this to say, I really haven't done a ton. I'm kind of just feeling out what the rest of the year is supposed to look like and giving myself that space to kind of take a step back from how intense my goals were last year, because setting such intense goals made it so that it was really difficult to meet them. I wanted to mention this again in my 2024 wrap-up video, kind of go back to this piece of advice that I got from a dear friend of mine at the beginning of last year, and I forgot to touch on it. But if you recall, if you've been here for a minute, in my very first video where I introduce my goals, I'm pretty sure it was my very first video where I introduced all my goals for last year, my dear friend Janessa, hi Janessa, I love you if you're watching this, she said to me once when we were talking about goal setting, she said goals are goals for a reason. And when I asked her to explain, she said, you know, it's important to set goals and it's important to strive for them, but it's really not good if we beat ourselves up about not reaching the goals, because the point of a goal is that you're not there yet. So if you've made any progress towards a goal, even if you don't actually meet it, that's still progress, and that's still the point of setting a goal, is to get closer to that finish line than you were at the beginning before you started working towards the goal. So I'm trying to adopt that mindset a little bit more this year, so my goals are a lot smaller. I'm trying not to have these really intense or largely unattainable goalposts that I am reaching for, because I don't want to beat myself over the head with these things I'd like to accomplish and then feel terrible when I don't reach them. It's made goal setting for this year a little bit difficult because I'm in the space where I recognize generally what my goals are, but I don't have necessarily the specifics to get me there yet, and I'm still feeling out what that's supposed to look like, so that I'm being productive and I'm working towards accomplishing those, and I'm keeping myself accountable, but I'm not working myself into the ground like I came very close to doing last year. Right now, the goals that I have, like I said in my 2024 wrap-up, I want to read 25 books this year. Haven't even read one yet, but the year is still early, and not every single book that I read is going to be that length, so, you know, we'll catch up eventually. And then for writing, my two goals that I think I've set for this year that I think I may need to expand a little, but I haven't decided how yet, is I want to finish this coming of age draft that I'm working on, this novel that I'm working on, by my birthday, because it just feels very, I don't know, poetic or symbolic to complete the first draft of a coming of age novel before or on the date that I turn another year older. My birthday isn't until the end of July, so I have a lot of time. It should be enough time, I think, but I kind of looking at the logistics, it might not be, I don't know. So kind of trying to figure out how to work towards that, but as of right now, that's the goal in my mind. I just like the idea of being able to finish it by my birthday, a little birthday gift to me as well. And then after that, I want to get started on that prequel for the fantasy series that I eventually want to write. Prequel that I mentioned in, I think probably last year's July writing update video, because that was the one where I recognized that I had set too big a goal and I had to take a step back from this project. And I had mentioned that I need to write this prequel before I can go into that series. So I think I want to start work on that. That might be my NaNoWriMo project for this year. I might start it before that. I'm not really sure, but as of right now, those two projects are the ones that I am planning to focus my time and attention on this year. That may change, but right now, those are the two that I feel the most inclined to write and that I feel the most need to write and get done. Again, that may change, but I think going into this year, that's what I've got so far, is wanting to work on those two. Yeah, like I said, taking those 2 months off really helped me overall to feel more excited about returning to the writing. Every time I've sat down, and it hasn't been often thus far because it's only been about a week and a half since I started working on it again, but every time that I have been able to sit down, I feel excited to be there. I'm happy to be working on the project. I'm happy to be revisiting that story and those characters and just continuing to see how the story unfolds because it is so new to me. There are still moments where I struggle to visualize certain scenes and I struggle with it, but I'm happier to take on that challenge than I was in the past, where before I would feel so daunted and overwhelmed I would just want to give up on it. Or now, because I've given myself the space of you only have to work 2 to 3 hours a week, or just do as much as you can in the session, if it's only a little bit at a time, leaves me feeling more motivated to tackle those problems and to figure out what's going on in that story. So that's been really lovely. But all that said, I'm feeling a little intimidated by this feeling of needing to accomplish more in my writing this year. Last year I wrote so much, I wrote so many words, but a lot of them ended up not being usable. I had to set projects aside, and in the end I think it became, and I talked about this a little bit before too, but it started to become more of a numbers game for me, and I don't want to put that pressure on it this year, but I want to feel like I have grown a lot as a writer as I work towards those goals this year. I'm not really sure where that feeling is coming from, but I want to treat this as a muscle that I am working on. I want to treat this as consistent strength training versus, a quick fix workout program that's going to make me very strong in a few weeks, or what I'm talking about. It's maybe not the best analogy, but that is the way I'm trying to think about it, is just working on things consistently will be better for me as a writer in the long run than trying to do this super big project and just crank out as much as I can, as fast as I can, just for the sake of saying I got a project done, because I want the work to be quality. I know that, again, I've said this in the past, but I know first drafts are supposed to be messy, but a lot what I've written did not need to be as messy as it was, and it's because I was rushing. So I want to give myself the space and the time to work on what I need to work on, but I also feel this internal pressure of feeling like I need to accomplish something more with my writing this year, and I don't really have a goalpost to look to for that, because I don't know if it's necessarily finishing a draft or if it's starting another project within the scope of the year or making progress in a certain area of my writing. I'm not really sure, but I think overall I'm looking to build consistency, and to do that not necessarily just within the drafts that I'm working on or the projects that I'm working on, but working on little writing exercises or just working on other things that challenge me that are smaller, so that I really am challenging myself so that I grow. Yeah, it's just tricky, again, with the setting goals, because I want to give myself the time and space, but it also makes it difficult for me to give myself timelines for what's supposed to come next. So that's what I'm prioritizing right now, is kind of just looking at the year in general, looking at the projects I have before me and figuring out just a skeleton of a plan for myself. Again, nothing too strict, but so that I'm still accountable and I'm still working on it and building that consistency muscle, but in a way that's not overwhelming. I feel like I'm just repeating myself as I often do. But yeah, just trying to come up with a general goalpost to keep myself on track, and I haven't quite figured out what that's supposed to look like yet because I took such a prolonged break. But now that I'm back in the space of wanting to write and to be in that headspace and wanting to prioritize it again, I think the more that I work on looking at those goals, the more clear that plan will become to me. But right now it's kind of just floating in the ether of my brain as I try to put the pieces together and figure out what's supposed to work best for this year. That's pretty much the gist of it. For next month, I think my goals are, like I said, to write consistently 2 to 3 hours a week, whether that's 2 to 3 hours in one chunk or 2 to 3 hours spread out over the entire week, consistently sitting down to get a little bit of work done at a time. And then I'm probably getting through 2 or 3 smaller books. My guess is I will finish Wind and Truth sometime this weekend, because I'm so close to the end there. I can probably just crank that out over the next couple days, and I have a couple smaller books in mind that I want to get to next. So we'll probably be working working on that. Things that are coming up in the future or ideas that I have of things that I'd like to try out. I think I want to try to do a writing retreat in the spring. I did something similar a couple years ago when I was in my master's program where I did a writing conference weekend, and I didn't actually attend a writing conference, but I went and I watched all of the Brandon Sanderson lectures that were on YouTube, not the new ones that he's just now putting out, but the original ones that are on YouTube. And I set aside 2 days of the weekend and I got fun drinks and fun snacks, and I just sat and I listened to a bunch of lectures over the weekend, and I was exhausted by the end, but I just absorbed so much good information about writing. And so I treated that as a little like personal writing conference to help myself grow, almost like a professional development session. So I think in the spring I'd like to do a writing retreat for myself where I set aside a couple days over the weekend and I work on doing a few writing sessions a day for the entirety of the weekend and try to make it fun, where I change locations or change the activities that I'm doing, where maybe in one writing session I'm like actually working towards the draft, and then in another I might just be doing a different kind of writing exercise or a few writing exercises or little writing sprints, go to the park, go to a coffee shop, work at the library, work at home, just kind of spend a weekend working towards my writing very intentionally and specifically and make it my own personal writing retreat. So I have that in mind for something to do this year. I also am considering doing more reading vlogs, not like a readathon like I've done in the past, but documenting my progress as I get through a book and kind of recording my reactions and my thoughts as I go and then wrapping it up with my thoughts at the end. I've seen that more and more consistently, and I kind of appreciate being able to go along for the ride with people who are reading books that I love for the first time and just seeing the way that they respond and seeing their reactions or hearing what they think as they're going along. So I might try to do that for a few books this year as well. Besides that, expect another update at the end of February, and I'm not sure what else. Again, I'm trying not to put myself on such a strict schedule like I was last year, so that I can give you more quality content and that I can have more quality reflections on what I'm doing. I am also, on that note with reading vlogs, I'm in a current debate with myself about which big series to start. That's something I mentioned, I think, in my 2024 wrap-up video. There are so many longer series with really long books that I am intimidated by because they are so long, and I'm trying to conquer that fear within myself and remind myself that I don't have to commit to an entire series at once. So there's a couple of longer, larger, more involved series that I'm wanting to start with, but I'm debating which one I'm leaning towards. I think I have two in mind. There are so many that I could choose from that are on my list, but I have two in mind of things that I want to start soon, so I might do reading vlogs for those because they are beloved staple series within the fantasy genre that I haven't touched because I'm scared of them. Not scared of them, just the amount of time that I know they're going to take from me. But again, I'm learning that I don't have to read the whole thing at once, so we're working on that. So I think that might come next as well. I'm debating. But yeah, besides that, I really don't have much else to say. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, like I really haven't done much this month, but I felt inclined to give an update because that's what I usually do at the end of the month, is I reflect on how the month has been and I share with you guys. It's a way to keep me accountable. It's a way to keep you updated. If there's anything you'd like to see, all of you out there, any video suggestions that you have or things that you would like me to talk about in these videos, I am more than happy to take your suggestions. I am very open to your ideas. So yeah, feel free to let me know if you have anything you'd like to see from me. Yeah, that's all for now. Appreciate you all being here. Excited to see what this year holds because I really don't know what to expect from it. Again, trying to be flexible with my goals while also putting specific pieces in place to help me meet those goals. So again, it's kind of all up in the air and I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, but excited to be on this journey with all of you and appreciate you being here to cheer me on. I think that's about it. So until next time, happy reading, happy writing, and I will chat with you all soon.